Hi. Hi, Thuy. Welcome to Tea Time with Thuy and Edith.
Did you not remember your name?
I forgot it for a minute. I was just going to say E, but I know you don't like that, and people don't know me as E.
I don't necessarily not like that. It's just like...
I have 4 more letters that come after E. Dith.
Yes. It sounded like you forgot your name for a second.
I never
because you
forget
hesitated.
my name. Sometimes I change it. Tuesdays, my name is usually Penelope from 6:30 onwards when I go to work.
Welcome to Tea Time with Thuy and Edith, where Thuy and Edith argue.
Occasionally. Always. We always have differences of opinions.
Pretty much.
Sometimes it gets loud. Not always.
No.
I do get loud sometimes, though. When people harass me. Have you ever been harassed in your lifetime?
I get harassed occasionally, but not all the time because I don't allow it to happen.
How can you not allow it to happen? If people want to harass you, they can harass you.
Sure, I guess, but then either I nip it in the bud or...
With a fist?
Or I walk away. Yes, they get scared.
Yeah?
But no, Edith and I were, we hang out occasionally outside of here, and we'll just get talking sometimes. And there's some occasions where life happens to us, right, Edith?
Yeah, sometimes. Not very pleasant life.
Right. And then, we said, what, that would be a great topic for the next time we get together for tea time.
Yep. So, what is the topic, Thuy?
Well, it's racism in the sense of not in like the political sense or like on like a global scale, but just in our own experiences, because I'm sure we've all experienced it before as have everyone else out there in the world.
Maybe everybody. Maybe some people haven't.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe some people haven't. Maybe Caucasians haven't experienced racism as much as the minorities, yourself and myself.
Maybe not in the way
we have.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I mean, what's happened to you that's horrible?
The very first act of racism that I recall was I was with a girlfriend of mine. We were maybe 10, 11 years old, and we'd gone to the local swimming pool just for a swim. Myself and Donna, we were just having a good time in the pool, and this little white girl came up. I say little, she was bigger than me, and she had a bigger friend with her, and she was calling me a black bee and what, gollywog.
What?
Oh yeah. And then like Donna's like,
wait a minute, is your friend Donna what
she's white. Donna's white.
Okay.
And Donna would just say, come on, let's go. We're having so much fun in the pool. I love to swim. So I didn't really want to go, but I was getting a little scared.
That's not true. You don't like to swim.
I do like swimming.
I'll argue that right now. Edith is afraid of the water.
I'm not afraid of water. I don't like fish, so I don't swim in the ocean often unless I'm inebriated. I don't do fish, I don't do seaweed, I don't do anything touching me in the water, so a swimming pool is fine.
Okay, sorry.
Donna suggested that we leave, so we start walking out, and then like she trips me up on the tiles. So we go to the changing rooms, and then when we're getting changed, getting dressed, ready to leave, she starts spitting at me and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How old was she?
Oh, a little older than me. I'd say maybe 14 or 15.
Oh my gosh.
And her friend.
Okay.
So that was the first time I experienced it. I must have been about 10 or 11 years old.
Wait a minute. Where were your parents, and then where were her parents?
We went swimming on his own. We were old enough to go down to the local pool.
Okay.
So we'd walk over to the pool, and Yeah, that was my first experience with it.
Did
That
you
was
talk
pretty
about it?
much the worst one. Did I what?
Did
Sorry.
you talk about it? Did you tell your mom? Or like what happened with you and your buddy
Yeah.
Donna?
We just went home. We just walked home, like bummed that we'd paid to go swimming and we didn't stay there that long.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
That were it.
Were there other people in the pool that
Yeah.
were like kids and
No.
they were like looking at you
No,
and
yeah, I mean, nobody did anything. Nobody, not even the lifeguards, like the people on duty that were working there.
they heard that? They saw that?
Probably. I mean, I was just watching this girl and listening to this girl and yeah.
Wow.
So when I got home and told my brothers, they said, "What do you want us to do? Go beat up a girl?"
Oh, they were wondering why you were like tattling, like you were
Yeah.
sharing this with them.
"Don't tell us about it. Do something while you're there," they said.
Okay. Jeez.
Needless to say, I became a kickboxer.
What, like not long after that?
I started doing a little bit of karate, and not like getting belts and stuff, but enough to hold my own, as one would say.
Is that the reason why?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And then after that, I started weightlifting and
But you didn't tell her even, like, did you say anything to that girl right then? Just like, shut up or
no,
leave me alone?
I was too scared.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell Mumsy?
I told my mom.
Did she want to go beat her up?
No. She says, "Sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt." And I'm like, "Do you see my tears? It hurts, mother."
Oh, that's why you grew up to be so mean.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Mean
why.
is my middle name.
That's why Edith doesn't put up with crap now.
Yes, I don't. I really don't.
So that was like your first and
That
your
was-
worst.
That was the worst one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like the first one, I don't necessarily think it was like the worst, but the first one that I can like remember as far as something that has to do with like race or looking different is I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and there wasn't a lot of minorities there. There were maybe like a few other like Asians, but it wasn't common, not in the 70s, you know.
Right.
Asians were like in the bigger cities, like Boston or like
Yeah.
places that have like a Chinatown
Right.
with other Asians, right?
Yeah.
So so I was walking down the street to school, and it was, back then kids walked to school.
Yeah.
So I walked back and forth to school. My brothers were still too young, so they didn't go to school. So they were like either like in preschool or like they weren't in school yet. But I remember because I was by myself and walking to school 2 miles and then walking back 2 miles every day. Whether it was snowing, raining, I put on galoshes.
Right.
And I remember like being like maybe like 8 or 9 because it was like 3rd grade or 4th grade or something. And I took the same route to school on the sidewalk. And then there's these 2 white boys on the other side of the sidewalk. And the streets, it was a busier street, so it was pretty big. 2-way traffic with like the median, the dividers or whatever. And they were on the other side. Okay, so I remember I'm just walking to school or whatever. I'm almost at school. It's maybe like 4 blocks away. And I could see like the big intersection coming up. And they were shouting these things like across the street. And I was like, what? Like I kind of almost couldn't hear it because of the traffic and just the noise. I didn't know they were talking to me, right? And I don't even think that they were really actually talking to me, but they were just talking out loud. And they were together. There's 2 of them. And, I don't think it was like winter or anything. So I was just like, in my pigtails and whatever with my backpack, and I'm just walking to school. And then when I got like closer, like we were crossing each other, like we were approaching, they were going the opposite direction. I started hearing them saying ching chang chong, just making like noises that they think were like Chinese words. I'm not even Chinese, first of all, but just
Right.
making those stupid like comments and just like whatever. They were just making gibberish sounds, right? And I was like, what? Because at first I didn't know that they were talking to me. And I remember, maybe this is why I'm so like assertive and so like, I don't want to say like aggressive, but
Aggressive is the word.
but I'm like, what? I remember being like 8 and I'm like, what? Are you talking to me? Like kind of like that. Cause I wasn't sure. And then they're just like looking at each other, giggling, and then they started making the noises some more. And then this time they're looking right at me and doing it. So maybe before they were just doing it to each other, right? And then I'm like, I'm not eating Chinese. I was like, and I remember thinking like I wanted to
Go over there and kick some butt.
I didn't care that they were boys. I didn't care that I was 8. And I didn't care that there was only one of me and 2 of them. I was just like, how stupid. I'm like, I'm not eating Chinese. And what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make fun of me? Like, I remember like, what are they even doing? Like, do they think like that's like funny? Like they're trying to communicate with me in a language that they don't know just because I look different? So it's like, could you imagine if like, I don't know, like a white guy was in like somewhere like China or like Vietnam or something, and then all these Asians like see the white guy and they start going like whoa, 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 thinking like they're speaking English.
Can I have a Bud Light?
Yeah, like what? Like how is that even?
Right.
Where are they getting this? So that was like maybe my earliest sort of memory, but it wasn't like the worst because nothing became of it. Right. Yeah, no one got
physical.
Hurt. Yeah.
You didn't get spat on or kicked or tripped.
That's horrible.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If I could go back today, things would be so different.
I wonder where that girl is now. She probably married like a black guy.
No, she probably got bludgeoned to death because of her mouth.
Because of her
ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like, if I don't like you, it's because you're a jerk, not just because of your skin color.
Right. Not just because of. Right. So that is part of the reason. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that would be more of a justified reason than someone's skin color. Don't like them because of their
attitude, their personality, or their lack of personality.
Right. Oh my gosh. I'm laughing about this, but obviously that's horrible. I'm just laughing about it because it's Edith. That's why. Because I'm just like imagining this, like her at one time, at one point in life, like her being too shy and too timid. Like that to me is funny. So I'm sorry. That's why I'm laughing.
Well, she broke me out of my shell, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe that's a lesson I had to have to be who I am today.
Things happen for a reason.
Things do happen for a reason. That's when I realized I was black. Before then, I didn't know. I said, Mom, some girl said I'm black. Mom says, what? She's a liar.
Wow. On the next show, we're going to interview Mumsy and then see what she has to say.
She won't remember. She calls me Caesar, Squidgy, all my siblings. She'll go through the names of us pets that we've had before she gets to the right name. So I highly doubt she will remember this instance.
One time I was picking up Ashley from school when she was in grade school. And back then, when you pick up your kids, you have to actually like go to their classroom and then like pick them up. It wasn't just like a free for all and they're just like, whatever, right? So I walked to the classroom and then picked her up, and then we're walking past like these picnic tables in the playground to get back to the car. And I remember like one time I was picking her up, there was a bunch of Hispanic, I don't know like if they were, what ethnicity specifically, but they were Hispanic girls, like maybe like 3 or 4 of them sitting on the picnic tables. Like, they thought that they were the it girls. They were a little bit older. Like if Ash was like first grade, second grade, these girls are like 4th or 5th grade, you know? So they're sitting there, they're all like kind of, like talking to each other and stuff. And I'm just talking to Ashley like normal, which is like, I'm talking like half English, half Vietnamese, right? So I'm talking and I'm calling her like my little nickname for her in Vietnamese, and we just thought it was cutesy. And of course back then she was okay with me like hugging her and stuff. Not now, but and then we were just talking, and these girls started making kind of like those noises again, like those little boys, right? Like just like ching chang chong chong, whatever. And I go, excuse me? And of course now I'm like, I'm a grown woman.
So you're going to beat up some 12-year-old girls at school.
I'm going to be schooling some kids. So I was just like, excuse me? And Ashley's just like oblivious. She just doesn't even realize that the girls are like making fun of her and stuff. I mean, she's a little girl.
Right.
So I go over there. I don't care if their parents came and stuff, because I would be saying the same crap.
Teach the parents a lesson too.
So these girls were saying that, and they just kind of shut up and they started looking at each other like, oh crap, like this lady's coming our way. So I walk over to them and I go, excuse me, do you speak another language at home? And they're like they couldn't even talk to me. They were started like nodding. I'm like, do you speak Spanish? And then they were like, yeah. Like the one girl who's kind of like the leader, you know? And then I'm like, okay, does your mother at home have like a nice nickname for you? Like maybe she calls you like sweetie or darling in Spanish or something like that. And she's kind of like, I'm like, well, that's what I'm doing with my daughter. And we're speaking in our language. I'm like, and you shouldn't make fun of people for that. I'm like, just because you don't understand it. I'm like, we're not even talking about you. We're not even talking to you. I'm like, I'm just trying to pick up my daughter from school. There's no reason for this. And I was like, you should be ashamed because your own mother and father talk to you that way at home. And they were just like, I'd like to think that me taking like 2 minutes to go there and say this to them
made them think about it in the future.
I would think. I hope that. I don't know. I have no idea of like how I can even find out. But in my heart, I hope that has affected them in a positive way so that they don't they thought it was cool just doing that. Ashley has never interacted with them, has never done a thing to them. There was absolutely no reason for that. And I would be so mortified. This is like a side note. But if I ever found out that like when Ashley was younger, or even now, that she did something like that for like no good reason, like, I mean, obviously if someone's like a jerk to you, I mean, that's not a reason to like make fun of them, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was like just absolutely like out of boredom or something. It was almost as if like, what do you get out of, do you feel better? Do you feel better about yourself because someone else is like different? But the thing is, we weren't even like that different. They spoke another language at home.
Right.
So that was weird. What else has happened to you?
Let's see. Nothing as bad as the swimming pool incident. I mean, now it's just like getting older. When I went to school, in my middle school, or should I say in my first school, which is 8 to maybe 12 before you go to the upper school.
Oh, okay.
So like the first school and middle school were all together in these terrapins, these classrooms. And my family, and there was maybe 4 other black families, so not many black kids at our school at all. But I followed my brothers. I was the youngest. I followed my brothers and sisters through school. So after, like in school, nothing really ever happened because I followed my big sister Rachel.
Right.
And nobody messed with Rachel, not even the teachers. She came over from Jamaica and went to school, so she was tough. She's tough as boots. God rest her soul. She was hard as nails. I remember my mum telling me, like, don't misbehave in school because you'll get the ruler. You know, teachers used to slap you with a ruler on your hand.
Right.
And when our Rachel came over, that happened to her. She got hit with a ruler, but the ruler broke on her hand. So from then, like, the Samuels were a family not to mess with. So thankfully, our Rachel was the first at the schools. So the name Samuels, you didn't really mess with. So
that's good. That's a good legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
That reminds me of something. That reminds me because you were just, hanging out with me and my bro a couple weeks ago when he was in town, and I don't think he remembers this story, but you telling me that reminded me of this. It was another, stupid thing like that again, where I don't know what the thing is when people see like an Asian and they just start going ching ching chong, like whatever, right? When I was like older, my brother is 3 years my junior, right? So when I was like maybe in 3rd or 4th grade, he was enrolled in their kindergarten class, and it was the first year that we had kindergarten because the school was from 1st grade to 8th grade. So when kindergarten opened up, he was like right at that age, so he joined. So he went to my it was a private school, right? No other Asians at the time. There was like maybe one black kid. I remember there was like one black kid. I think his name was like Basil, right? And,
Basil.
yeah.
Basil or Basil?
Basil? I think he went by like Basil.
Basil?
Yeah, I think his name was Basil. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to divulge his last name. I remember his last name. I swear that he went by Basil.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking like, okay, whatever. Basil.
He's a herb.
Yeah. Nice callback. So, anyways, so like at the time, later on, there was like a couple of Vietnamese families that went to the school, but it was like they would just go for like 1 year and then they either moved away again or something. But we were like the only ones, right? So, whatever, 4th grade, maybe I was 3rd grade, whatever it was, and my brother was just enrolled in kindergarten, and you met him. He's the same as he was back then. This is like, what was he, like 5 or 6? And he just likes to talk. He should be like, oh, so my mom says da 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 da. He's that kid. Right? And he's, my brother's like super chinky eyes and he's always smiling.
Super what?
That's
you can't say that. You can't say that.
Yeah, you can.
I suppose you can, but you can't.
Super chinky eyes. See, like I don't really have chinky eyes. My eyes are actually pretty big, right?
Yes, you're an unusual Asian.
I have almond eyes.
Almond eyes.
When Daniel smiles, we have the same eyes.
When I pull my hair back real tight, we have the same eyes. I'm not lying, it's true.
That's racist.
It hurts.
So he's talking and I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Because there was like a crowd of 8th graders. So the 8th graders ruled the school, right? And again, I'm just like, I don't know, like 8 or 9. I'm like the same, right? So there was like kind of like this little alcove where we have our school. And there was like some of the 8th graders, back then, they're like the big kids. They're like these boys that were kind of all surrounding, like almost like huddled, like a football huddle. But then people were kind of gathering around, like just like whispering and like laughing and stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm kind of like making my way through. And they were all huddled around my brother. So he's just all standing like in a corner, but he doesn't feel cornered. He's just talking and telling a story. And they're listening to him and thinking he's funny. And he's thinking that they're laughing at his stories with him, not at him. And I knew the difference even at that age. I knew that they were like making fun of him. So I'm just like, get out of here. And I pulled him like aside. And I remember thinking like just being so protective of him. And normally I'm not. I'm kind of like, whatever. Like they're my brothers. Like, ew, like they're boys. Like I don't. But I just, at that time, I felt so protective. And I pulled him out from like the huddle. And I said, you leave him alone. I remember like looking up and they felt gigantic. I felt like so whatever, but I don't care. I was like ready to, right? And they felt like they were towering over me, these 8th graders. And they just start like, they start laughing and point at me like, oh, what are you going to do? Like, look, like the sister came in, like they're all like talking to each other, right? And then they started doing that whole ching chang, whatever, like to me too. And I was just like, I don't know what I did, but I called them what I thought were like mean words. So I was
you
like,
pig.
I was like, pickle breath. And I was just like, it was probably like, if someone witnessed it, it was probably like the cutest thing ever. But man, I was fuming. I couldn't think of something without swearing.
Pickle breath.
Yeah, and I was just like, and they just started laughing, and then my brother starts, he starts laughing too. I'm like, no, I told him like, stop laughing, because he didn't know what's going on. So I'm like, stop laughing. And then, everyone's like laughing and stuff, and they're laughing at me now because of sort of like my anger, and I couldn't like do anything about it. And then watch, Daniel's gonna watch this. He's like, oh, that's why she's angry all the time. But and then they started laughing, and then I just called him like other stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, worm face. I'm all like looking at them. I'm looking at their acne. I'm just trying to make fun of like the way they look, And oh man, I was like, and then like, come on, and then I like just
took your brother out.
Yeah, there was this one time we go on a few years ago. We go on an Alaskan cruise, and it was like 14 of us. It was like, because we had planned it for like a couple of years. So we took off the time to make it so that we're all there together and blah, blah, blah. And then Daniel is with us. It was just him, not the girls, right? So I remember like one of the first things they do, like when you go on a cruise, is you take the picture. You got to take the group picture before you board. And then they hand out your lanyards and all that crap. They take your luggage, right? So we're all standing in line in the queue waiting for our turn, like da-da-da. And we're standing in line, and one of the things that I did was I got us matching shirts for the cruise. So it's
everybody, or just you and Daniel?
Oh no, all of us.
Okay.
So like the 14 of us all had like, you know, whatever 2019 like family cruise Alaska, and it was like a logo that I came up with and all that. And I did that, and we were all wearing it for the day that we're disembarking. You know, and we did it for the picture. So you go up, and you know, like people that work for cruise lines are like just from everywhere, all over the world. You know, and it says like their name, but then it'll say like their country. All the stuff like Guyana, Thailand. They're from everywhere, right? So it happened to be like an Asian photographer, and like the person helping out, like kind of placing of people and the lighting and all that, like Thailand, and maybe like the other one was like from Philippines, something, right? But I think that they were like Asian, and we're standing up, and they're like, okay, you know, like next group, we'll come up, and we're standing in line, and they didn't think that he was a part of the group.
He's pushing him out. Just wait your turn, sir.
He's like, I'm a part of this. He's wearing the shirt.
This is my family, man.
He's wearing this shirt. He's like, he's like, hey. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's with us. You know, like, they're all like, you know, whatever, right? And he's just laughing. He doesn't like whatever. He thinks it's funny. So we're all here. And we all, you know, they all like put us in so we fit in the frame and all that. And he's, not that he's like a tall guy, but he's taller than most of, like, you know, like taller than like my mom, taller than like my dad, taller than like my sister-in-law. So he's kind of in the back. So he's in the back. I think I'm standing in the back too, because I'm taller than most, you know. And then we have like kids like Ashley, and the little ones are with us too. So he's in the back. I'm in the back too. And he's just kind of like in between like my mom and my dad's head. So he's kind of like that. And we all joke because we see it now, and it looks like he's photoshopped in. So I don't know if that's like reverse racism.
Kind of, but, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's obviously racism isn't good in the world if it's like going to be causing trauma. Like, holy cow.
Right.
Like what you did. I mean, I don't even know like why. I mean, if it shouldn't be in existence, period.
Right.
But then on top of that, like, kids are exposed to this at like such a young age. Your experience.
Right. I mean, like I say, kids will be kids. It's just...
They learn it though.
Yeah, from home, no doubt.
From TV, from social media, from something.
Yeah. It comes from somewhere.
Right. You know, that makes me curious, because I wonder if my brother even remembers that story. I remember it.
Yeah.
So, but maybe some of you out there, if you have like some stories to share with us, we'd like to hear in the comments below. And Edith can tell you all the places that you can find our podcast.
You could find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any other social media platform that you may choose to use.
Any of the major listening platforms, you could find Thuy and Edith Argue.
Tea time. A little bit of tea.
But
a little bit of tea.
Thank you so much for watching.